How's it going, guys? My name is Alex.
Good evening.
And welcome to a video where I'm gonna be reviewing the best formations that fit the most popular playstyles. Very requested topic, and as you guys know, with a free team without this Totti and Del Piero, I have been making so many Division 1 speedruns. So it is possible you can do that without spending anything on the game. I used many different formations and playstyles. I played on classic controls, I played on advanced controls. My goal now is to get in Division 1 on console as well. I have a little bit of experience, and since many people have been requesting that, there you go. This is the formation I'm using for possession game currently. I started by using something like this, and I realized that Inseminator esports former professional player, but he's competing now in the finals. On console, he has been using something very similar. And I've been using this for possession game for like 3 months. And in his tactics video, he suggests to use something very similar, and he suggests some playstyles for the players for also possession game, and he uses the same layout of players for quick counter. And also pick players with the best, most fitting playstyles, or use the tactics individual instructions to ensure that your players are performing what they're supposed to be doing on the pitch. So for this one, I would be giving defensive to Declan Rice. If you don't have any defensive to give, you can give a deep line to Declan Rice as well. It will be pretty much, they're replicating each other. Then when in terms of attack, I would be giving attacking to Totti. Unfortunately, I can't give attacking to Del Piero. But the principle is, since Bellingham is a whole player, he will be making these runs and helping you and supporting your attack by default. But Totti, he doesn't have that attacking playstyle. Although, like, if this is classic number 10, they have changed their playstyles and they are helping in attack still. But this Del Piero is the main problem. So what I'm gonna be doing with Del Piero, since he's creative playmaker and I really want to use his blitz curler ability, I would be giving him counter targets so that he hangs around the opponent's box. He's not dropping deep all the time. So this will be very attacking setup, pretty much reminding 4-2-4. So we're playing 4-2-2-2, which is a little bit more conservative and also very solid in defense. What I'm doing when I'm using my free team, I'm playing Modric here, right? And Modric is my player of choice currently as a starter, either as a center midfielder here or as an attacking center midfielder a little bit higher up the pitch. Why? Because this player is phenomenal. He can intercept the ball, he can dribble, he can pass, and he can take a shot. Crazy, man. This is insane card, and you can obviously see the stats. They definitely correspond. I mean, they don't make cards like this anymore, and if they do, these are premium boosted cards, so insane balance as well. The setup where I rely on my players, obviously when I'm defending, I'm trying to drop deeper, and I start selecting my attackers first. I start defending with my attackers, right? So then you don't face a problem when your defense is exposed. So this is very solid, and you can use it for possession and quick counter. It will work exactly the same. So speaking of quick counter now, obviously possession playstyle works with 3 at the back as well. And I would be suggesting using something like this. And defensive fullbacks or defensive-minded fullbacks, or someone who can at least defend, right? So I built my Davis so that he can kind of defend. And we can maybe play Bernardo Silva here. He also can kind of defend. He has some defensive stats in him. And you can also equally play Wan-Bissaka here. Like, look, Wan-Bissaka is not extremely tall. The other stats on this card is crazy, man. So this would be the setup for 5, actually 3, 2, 1, 2. But you can also call it 5 at the back, because this is pretty much what happens when you're defending. But you're playing with midfielders still, so these fullbacks are going to be marauding on the flanks. And it could be Bernardo Silva over here, but not necessarily the best choice because he doesn't have that pace. So this is Wan-Bissaka, crazy card. They just don't make cards like this anymore. And this is insane, man. Every defensive stat except for awareness in high 90s. Actually decent physical contact, you know. This would be also very good for possession. I don't know about long ball counter or other playstyles, you can try it, but the premise of long ball counter is that you are dropping deep and allowing your opponent to make mistakes. In fact, I think that this can work with long ball counter too, but I like this one for possession. So now that you have covered the best playstyles for possession, I would also want to talk about these. This would be my another favorite, and this would be like a defensive player in here, like a center back. You can play it one destroyer, one build-up. It could be a good combo. I played for the longest time with 2 build-ups, and people were asking me, Alex, how do you do that? I don't know, man. It was so reliable. So if you don't like destroyers in general, you can easily play Beckenbauer here. This would be very solid. So this would be a formation for quick counter, possession, long ball counter, man. This is insane how reliable this one is. And you can go a little bit more attacking, more creative here, right? So that it is not looking so dull. You can convert this player to attacking midfielder, and you can have this balance. So you will be very, very attacking if that's possession game and quick counter. For long ball counter, everyone is going to be sitting deep, but it's still very compact. I played with this formation for the longest time. It works with possession, quick counter, long ball counter, and even out wide. But out wide, I don't have much experience with. Same with long ball. It's like a separate playstyle. But this is where I would say another rule of thumb for me is I don't really choose formations to cater to playstyles. I choose formation to cater so that my best and most important players are starting, or like I'm accommodating these players. So as you can see, I barely have any wingers in this, and I don't play any 4-3-3 or any formations with wingers. I play on the strengths of my team, on the strengths of my players. And if you just started your account, you may be in the same situation, start your best players, and then maybe this formation won't work for you. So then, speaking of quick counter formation, one of the most overpowered formations is this one. So you need the wingers, at least one. But it's not necessarily important, but it's nice to have wingers in this. And it's gonna be 4-3-3 with 2 attacking midfielders. Very, very popular. You can play second strikers, you can play wingers. It depends on you if you want to be more compact or play more wider on the pitch. This is very template, and in fact, if you go to the list of formations, like change formation, you can choose it right now. 4-1-2-3. That's how it will be looking by default. And you can actually, you know what? You can go with this easily. You can go with this, and it will be working. And you're attempting to just out one-touch pass your opponent, right? You play a lot of one-touch passes and through balls in these areas. So these 2 attacking midfielders need to have through passing skill. So that's why all of my players have that. All my important players, right? For instance, this Benkham has through passing. And Mbappe is the only player who doesn't have, but on console I gave my Mbappe through pass. These are the skills of my Mbappe. And in case if you're interested in all the builds of my players, check out a separate video where I share all of my builds. I'll be retraining some of my players and sharing them like 1 week before the current player reset is ending. This is very attacking, but it's very difficult to defend against when you're playing this with quick counter. Very, very difficult to defend against, and I think that if you know how to pressure, if you know how to manually switch defenders maybe, because you will be in trouble when opponent is actually overcoming this press of your attackers here. So you better know what you're doing with this one. But this has been so reliable for like a few years, and it still is. So that's a quick counter, one of the best quick counter formations in my opinion. And then when we talk about long ball counter, since it is a very deep playstyle, everyone is sitting very deep, playing 2 defensive fullbacks is maybe a little bit overkill, so you can try to experiment and play like 1 attacking fullback then. Quick counter formations. You want to see my defensive midfielder, you can see this Declan Rice, he's a box-to-box player. I don't like having box-to-box player as my only player whom I rely on to cover these zones, because box-to-box players like to venture forward. And I don't want this to happen, so that's why, don't forget, individual instructions still on, defensive on Declan Rice. And you can also give him a deep line, so that he is also covering defense and pretty much playing 5 at the back. You may wonder, why do you need to be so defensive? Alex, I want to attack. Well, you can attack, and but the thing is, the less goals you concede, the more odds of you winning a game. That's how this game works. Everyone will be scoring a goal in the game at some point, right? And there can be a game when you can concede just more than your opponent. So it is a game of like not conceding more than your opponent. With this setup, when you're playing long ball counter, obviously it is nice to have 88 proficiency manager for that, but only a manager that can play long ball counter like that is my Gareth Southgate. Long ball counter relies on your players, just like we counter, making a run. You get possession of the ball, they're making runs, right? You didn't ask them to make those runs. They can be not even whole players, they'll still continue to like move forward and try to offer themselves very advanced. And this is where I wouldn't recommend this formation for long counter necessarily. It may work for you, but for me what I notice is that when I get possession with my defenders and defensive midfielder, I instantly realize that everyone is making these runs, and I am now in a position where I need to perform a very, very precise through pass, right? Even though like I gave some passing skills to my Rice, but he doesn't have through passing though. And this is the problem, man. And his passing is like in low 80s. So I need to execute a very precise through pass to one of these players in order to ensure that my attack continues, because everyone is making run in quick counter and long ball counter. So this is what you can be facing. So having a defensive attacking fullback, one attacking at least, is nice because you can string a few passes and try to find this triangle. Or you can maybe change the formation, right? So you can continue playing something like this. You can do this, right? So at least you have this sequence of passes. Or if you play in with two strikers, which is something that you can obviously go with, but maybe you'll be struggling because since long ball counter is defensive setup and you have like two strikers and none of them are really good defensively, opponent is going to be controlling the middle. This is where I would say this formation is so universal. You can use it for long ball counter, quick counter, possession, it will be working. This is actually a very, very underrated formation. And there is obviously some variations, right? You can maybe try to do something like that to throw your opponent off. Another formation that you can use, like 4-4-2. Yeah, this can work as well if you play this like a left midfielder here. This can work, right? It may feel a little bit flat and bland, but it definitely can work in many formations. I would say it's nice for quick counter, long ball counter, maybe in possession. So these are the formations, more like orthodox formations. And then I made a separate video where I was talking about unorthodox formations, one of the formations that Mujikul is using. And I noticed some people are playing something like this, something absolutely bonkers, right? So something like this. And I noticed that every time I'm playing these games, man, I'm struggling. And I started questioning why it happens. And maybe just because of the insane press. So these ones, I would not be playing long ball counter with this, of course, because you'll be left out. All these players, they'll be lost in the sauce, man. They'll be staying without the ball, and your opponent is going to be controlling the middle. What you do with this formation is you change it to quick counter. I'm telling you, just give it a try, man. Give it a try, and you'll be surprised how opponent is attempting to play cute passes in defense and getting instantly punished. So this is where you need to be good at switching, you need to be good at auto pressure, because auto pressure is the most overpowered way to defend. A little bit unfortunate because it's so easy to defend, but it's very reliable if you know what you're doing, if you know how to switch to the players, between the players in time. And you can definitely cook with this one. It's like aggressive 4-4, and that's something for you to experiment with. And these are my favorite formations. Obviously, there can be an argument of using something unorthodox with 5 at the back. I don't really like this, and yeah, I basically never use them. But this has been the review. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be making maybe a part 2 with some formations that I missed. Let me know about them in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Peace.